Welcome back to the Arkansas A&M Black Bears Dynasty on NCAA Football 14, guys, a.k.a. College Football Revamped. And we are in our first bye week of the season. Winners of our last 4 games, coming off a big win over Notre Dame last week, 49-24. This team is looking really good, and we're set up to make another run at a national championship, being the number 1 team in the country. In today's video, we'll go over season stats through 4 games, look at the remaining schedule, and we get our first deep dive into the recruiting class for season 8. This is going to be an exciting year, guys. I hope you guys are strapped in, ready to go. Let's jump in. To say that this team is off to a hot start is an understatement. Gabe Perez has really stepped into the starting quarterback role and done an amazing job. He's thrown for 1,241 yards, 8 touchdowns, only 1 interception through 4 games. He's averaging 310 yards per game and completing 77% of his balls. And I think he's only been sacked, only 3 times this year. Gabe has really stepped up, man. Losing Craig last year to the NFL draft really hurt and left this position in a lot of questions. We had a lot of questions going into the season. We were worried that Gabe wasn't going to be mobile enough to get outside the pocket. He wasn't going to be polished enough to play QB, but he has really stepped his game up. And honestly, and I hate to say this and put this out there into the atmosphere, he might declare early. The way he's off, the way he's playing at the beginning of this season, it's kind of like how Craig began last season. So, we might be looking at another new starting quarterback going into season 9. But I'm just excited to see what Gabe could do for the rest of the year. I feel like the tough part of our schedule is over with, and he got through it. But going into these last, 8 games of the season, I want to see him throw more touchdown passes. I want to see him get the ball more to Trey Morgan and Fred Foreman. We'll take a look at those stats here in a few minutes, but I'm very impressed for what Gabe has done already this year. Ground game, 2 studs, man. Actually, 3 studs. Let's be real. Phillip Fagan leads the way, 76 carries, 430 yards, 10 touchdowns. Now, I'll say this about Phil, man. He's getting off to a slow start this year. Not the big games that we're used to. He is, I think, averaging 100 yards, 108 yards per game. I would love to see that total go up, but the problem is we have so many weapons on offense now that his carries per game and his yards per game are going to drop. We just have to spread the ball around. His backfield mate is senior Ira Harris, 32 carries, 255, 4 touchdowns. Again, averaging 64 yards per game. I want to see his numbers get up. I want both of these guys to be over 1,000 yards by the end of the season. That's the goal. I always want to have both backs in our offense get 1,000 yards every season. And I think we've done that so far this year. Perez has got outside the pocket a couple times, 14 carries, 37 yards, and a touchdown. And then our goal line back is Anthony Bryant, 13 carries, 34 yards, 5 touchdowns. We have 3 really good backs. We have a system for all 3. I think you're going to see Anthony Bryant get a little bit more playing time for the rest of the season. We're going to kind of insert him in different spots in the offense. But Fagan and Harris are our 2 starting backs. Those guys are going to get majority of the carries, but look for AB to get some playing time as well. So out wide, Trey Morgan, the All-American, the senior. He leads the team with 22 grabs for 301 and 5 scores. Then you have Tariq Larson, second on the team, 18 catches, 379 and 2 scores. Ashton Ryan, 14 catches, 247 and a touchdown. There's Fred Foreman, 11 catches, 206. Mike Warren, the true freshman, 9 catches for 93 yards. You got DT 3 for 29, Fagan 3 for 27, Ira has 1 for 6, and Will Rogers 1 for 3. Trey Morgan is our number 1 wide receiver. We're always going to look for him on any route, but shout out to Tariq, man. He has really stepped his game up this year, getting a lot more playing time in the slot, and he's showing out. He is a matchup nightmare for slot corners and for safeties, and he's taking advantage of that. He's our deep threat, and he's going to take the top off anytime he can. Ashton Ryan, the true freshman, has really stepped up this year. 14 grabs, 247 and a touchdown. He came in and he is doing a great job. Route running, he can block. I want to get him the ball a little bit more, but Fred Foreman is also here. He is such a talented wide receiver, And for him to have only 11 catches and no touchdowns, we got to change that. I'm not saying we're going to force him the ball the rest of the way, but I want to get him more touches. I think Trey can get anywhere between 75 to 80 catches this year. I want Fred to have somewhere in the ballpark of like 55 to 65 catches this year. We could potentially have, 3 guys knocking on the door of 1,000 yards for the season. I think the offensive line is doing a great job blocking, man. We're getting pancakes. We're making sure Perez is upright. He's not running for his life like other quarterbacks have done in this dynasty. But I think the run game is kind of taking a hit. We're not opening up run lanes for our backs. But I think, again, we've had a tough two-game stretch against Washington and Notre Dame. And I think once we start getting the Big 12 play, things will change. We'll start being able to stack up some numbers in the run game. I'm still waiting for Philip Fagan to have that breakout game, and I know he's going to have one here real soon. But I think where we've improved the most is on the defensive side of the ball, and in the comment section, you guys have said the same thing. The defense looks brand new. These boys look fast. They're flying to the ball. They're doing a great job forcing turnovers, getting pressure. Brian Jones leading the way, man. He is having an amazing senior campaign. 34 tackles, 9 TFLs, and 3 sacks. Nick Ginn, second on the team, 20 tackles. He's got 3 TFLs. Then you got Brian Jennings, 17 tackles. Dylan Gross, the senior defensive end, getting some playing time, 15 tackles and a sack. Casey Buchanan, our slot corner, has 15 tackles. Brian Charles stepping in at defensive end, 15 tackles, 2 sacks. You got Dustin Carey with 13 tackles, Matt Scott with 10. David Sims has 8, so does Bo McGee. Caleb Walker does 2. He's got 3 sacks on the season. Corey Bentley, 7 tackles. Trey Jolly has 5. And then Paul Wilson has 2. We're getting after the quarterback, man. This defensive line, we've had, like for the past 4 years, we've had stars. And Corey Mark and Kyle Butler. Now we've got a squad. You know what I mean? Caleb Walker has 3 sacks. Brian Jones has 3 sacks. Brian Charles has 2 sacks. You got Hester with a sack. You got Williams with a sack. Bo McGee has a sack. And so does Dylan Gross. I like how we're getting after the quarterback. We are facing a lot more scrambling quarterbacks this year. So we've got guys that are having to contain on the outside. But I feel like we're bringing a lot more pressure this year than we have in past years. But I still want to see more. I want to see Caleb Walker get close to double-digit sacks. Same with Brian Charles. I really think that he is a dynamic pass rusher. Him and Dylan Gross could break into that double-digit sack numbers if they step up their game for the rest of the season. We've got 6 interceptions on the season. Half of them go to Matt Scott, the shutdown corner. He's got 3 picks. He's doing a great job in coverage, man. Like, they're just staying away from him on one side of the field. But then they have to go against Bill Jennings on the other side. He's got 2 picks. He's doing okay. I feel like he's getting routed up sometimes, especially on like inside routes, like the slants and the in routes. But he's still doing a great job. He's got 2 picks, and then Nick Ginn has a pick as well at the strong safety position. Forcing a lot of fumbles this year. Brian Jones has forced 2. Caleb has forced 2 as well. McGee and Charles each with 1. And then we've only recovered 1 fumble so far. That was a scoop and score for Nick Ginn to kick off that Notre Dame game last week. Kicking game, Keaton Holt doing a great job so far. 3 of 3. He's got a long of 51 and perfect on extra points. Then you've got Jacob Williamson, the senior punter, 3 for 108. He's averaging 30 yards per kick, 1 inside the 20 and 1 touchback. The return game, I think these boys got to step up a little bit. I think the return game has to step up. Marquise Powers, the redshirt junior, he's got 12 returns for 322. He's averaging about 27 yards a return. I feel like he's going to break one. He's got one coming soon. He's got great speed on the outside. He's got some moves as well. I just think he trusts his blockers a little bit more. And then the punt game, you already know, Tariq Larson is dynamic. 10 returns for 190 yards. His longest is 67. I expect him to have about 2 or 3 punt return touchdowns by the end of the year. Here's a look at the top 25. As of our bye week, we are the #1 team in the country, 4-0 on the season. Number 2 right now is Michigan. They step up 2 spots. They're 2-0. Just beat NC State. Then you've got Florida State in at 3. Auburn is 4. The Longhorns in at 5. Arizona is 6. Ole Miss 7. Notre Dame falls 5 spots to 8. You got Washington at 9. And Penn State rounds out the top 10. Bama falls 9 spots to 11 after losing to South Carolina. Georgia in at 12. San Diego State 13. Michigan State sits strong at 14. There's Clemson, number 15 in the nation. Oklahoma falls 5 spots to 16. Boston College is 17. You got LSU in at 18. Tulsa is 19. South Carolina cracks the top 25 for the first time this year. They're 3-1 after beating Bama. You got NC State. They fall 3 spots to 21. Missouri cracking the top 25 in at 22. They're undefeated so far. Miami is 23. You got Navy in at 24. And South Alabama rounds out your top 25. Ohio State not on this list. Bama, that's a tough loss for them, man. That's tough. So here's a look at our schedule the rest of the way. After our bye week, we have Big 12 play, taking on Texas Tech at home. Then we hit the road to take on TCU. Then we take on our rivals, A-State. We get another bye week, and then we have 2 tough games back-to-back. Traveling down to the Bayou to take on LSU. And then we're traveling to take on Texas for the first time, I think, during the regular season. So these 2 games should be real fun. We got Iowa State, K-State, and Kansas to round out the season. I am concerned for this Texas game. Even the LSU game, it's an SEC squad. They always step up and play, real well, especially at home. These 2 games, man, we've got them circled, and we've got to be ready. We've got to be ready. But now it is time to hit the recruiting trail. We have a board stacked with some really good players that can come in and make an immediate impact. We have 3 commits already. Time for you guys to meet them. going to be an interesting year of recruiting for us, man. We're losing 16 seniors, potentially a few juniors, man. We've got 17 juniors that could declare. We're going to have a lot of holes filled in the recruiting class. We're losing 4 senior wide receivers this year. a senior running back in Ira Harris, two senior offensive linemen. Then on the defensive side of the ball, we're losing 3 defensive ends, 2 linebackers, 3 corners, and a punter. So a lot of guys who have had a lot of playing time here, who have made an impact, and now we have to fill those holes with some young guys. We've got some guys that we put on red shirt that are going to be moving around. Chris Johnson is one. He'll be moved in playing middle linebacker next season. But a concern of mine is that defensive line, losing 3 senior defensive ends. We have 3 underclassmen right now on the roster. So, it's going to be imperative that we get some pass rush help in. We have, I think, 2 really good defensive ends on the board, and we'll take a look at those guys here in a second. But I want to go back to the offense side of the ball. Gabe Perez is the starting quarterback. He is a redshirt sophomore. He can declare next season, so we need to get some more quarterback play in rotation. We have one commit, as you just met, Ryan Douglas, 6'4", 212. But there is another quarterback on our board that Coach Thomas is excited about, and you guys will meet him here in a few minutes. But again, we're losing 4 wide receivers. I think that we have a couple guys that are going to be able to step up next season and have a bigger role. Mike Warren will definitely get a bigger role next year. We have 2 freshmen on our board right now that I think, giving them some time in the offense, they're going to come in and make an immediate impact. It's going to be fun to see how we can plug and play these young guys going into next season. But guys, let's take a look at the recruiting board. So that's just a few of the top players on our board. We still have some great players that we're looking at, including Kyle Holloway, a 5'11", 202-pound wide receiver from North Carolina, 4-star prospect. And I'm excited for this kid, man. Great speed, 93 speed, great acceleration, solid route running. The hands need some work, though. But I think, again, putting a red shirt on him, he could come in and make a great impact. Not next season, but the following. He's got great route running, great spec catch and release for somebody who's just coming out of high school. That's exciting, man. We just put him on the board, and as you can see, there are a lot of schools that are after him. Then we have Donnell Swan, a 5'9", 176-pound strong safety from Minnesota. He is a 4-star prospect. Right now, we are trailing behind Florida and Minnesota. This kid reminds me a lot of Bob Sanders. He used to play for the Colts back in the day. Not the fastest player in the world, man. 89 speed, 87 acceleration, but a great tackler. And the hit power is solid. He's got solid coverage. And if he presses you, you are not getting off that line, man. He's got 97 press. Now, with Swan, because of his height, I would be concerned putting him up against a tight end, have him covering the tight end. So he might be more of a box safety for us, kind of like the role that Will Mosby and Nate Johnson played for us. We're always looking to add more depth on the offensive line. This is Ron Campbell from West Virginia, 6'4", 325, a 4-star prospect, number 11 tackle in this class. And as you can see, we're starting to get a big lead for him over big teams like Ohio State, Bama, Michigan, and Notre Dame. Very solid right tackle. He is going to be a right tackle for us if he decides to commit. 86 strength, 96 acceleration. He's more of a run blocker than he is a pass blocker. But I would love to see his impact block be somewhere in the 80s, the mid 80s. But again, this kid could come in and make a great impact for us. I think we are losing our right tackle this season. Yeah, Dodd is graduating this year. So Campbell could push for playing time next season. And then we took a trip up north, man, far north, up to Alaska. B.J. Holland, the number 21 athlete in the country, 6 foot 194, a 4-star prospect. And this kid, I feel like he's a Swiss Army knife. Great speed, 93 speed, solid coverage ability for a corner or a safety. He could run routes, solid hands. He could carry the ball, so he could play running back. But then he could throw too. 80 throw power, 80 throw accuracy. Again, only being 6 foot even, kind of on the shorter side at quarterback for us. But again, I feel like this kid could play anywhere on the football field. The 93 speed is very intriguing, especially in the zone coverage and the man coverage. But we could put him in the slot, and he could be a solid wide receiver. So, Coach Thomas, finding those Swiss Army knives again, man. And, he's got another one here in Holland. Bringing more depth to the outside linebacker room. This is James Holmes from Iowa. He's 6'1", 222, 3-star prospect, number 21 outside linebacker in the class. Tennessee, Ohio State, Clemson, Florida on his short list so far. Again, not the greatest speed, not the most agile, but we're excited about his tackling ability. Holmes has been a hit. Holmes has led his team in tackling the past 2 seasons as a junior and a senior. He's got great finesse move, great power move, solid off the blocks, no coverage ability. Could be a 2-down linebacker for us in our base package. But again, he could be a candidate for the red shirt. And the final player we're going to take a look at today is Trent Lester from Calumet City, Illinois. 6'6", 279, a 3-star defensive tackle. Right now, as you can see, SEC schools are going after him. The Pac-12 teams are going after him. And then there's Notre Dame as well. And, of course, we know why. This kid is very special. He's a gem. Great strength, great acceleration, power move, finesse move, block shedding. Great tackler and play rec. He had 6 sacks in his senior season. We're looking for this kid to come in. We've got a lot of depth on that defensive line, especially at D tackle. We're just looking to keep bringing in good players, man. He could be a solid one for us in a few years, especially being behind the 3 freshmen that we have playing right now and the sophomore. I put him on the board because he's a solid player, 3-star prospect, and he's coming in as a 78 overall. We got to keep going after guys like that who can come in and just make an immediate impact. So that's a look at the recruiting board. A lot of good players here, man. I'm excited about the teammates, Albert Flores and Kevin Manson. These guys, I think, we can get them to stay at home. Flores could come in and he could team up with Warren and a couple other guys that we have coming off our red shirts next season, and they can make some noise for us. They can really help that receiving core out. And I said again, that defensive line, man, is going to be imperative that we keep going after pass rushers. I'm going all in on CJ Bailey. His speed is just amazing on the defensive line. He gives me those Kyle Butler feels with the finesse moves and the hit power. And then we're going to have an interesting battle at quarterback. If we can give Franklin Chance from North Carolina to sign and commit, teaming him up with the guy that we just signed, Ryan Douglas, and then if Gabe Perez decides to declare early, we are going to be extremely young at quarterback going into season 9. So a lot of questions to be answered still in recruiting, but I think the board is looking nice. If anything changes, again, make sure you guys are following me on all socials, Twitter and Instagram mainly. I will keep you guys up to date there, and of course in Discord. And here's something that we normally don't do. Let's take a look at the big board, the top 25 prospects in the country right now. The number 1 player in the country is Isaiah Kent from New York. He is a running back, had a 4.32 40. It looks like LSU, Tennessee, and Syracuse are his top 3 teams. The number 2 player was also a running back. This is Kevin Washington from West Virginia. He's headed to Penn State, 4.38 40, 5-star prospect. We are going after the number 3 prospect in the country, Albert Flores, 3-2 Flowers, 3-2. We are going after the number 3 prospect in the country, Albert Flowers, the wide receiver from Arkansas. We are hoping we can get him to stay home. Then there's Jeremiah Presley, 6'1", 197 from Pennsylvania. Michigan State, the Zips, and Penn State are his top 3 teams. You've got another athlete here in A.J. Taylor, 5'10", 181 from Florida. Ole Miss, Air Force, and Georgia are on his short list. Then you have Aaron Taylor, another athlete. We scouted this kid, man, 6'3", 214. He's got Auburn and Vandy pretty much. Everybody else is just there. He's got 89 speed, 85 agility, 93 acceleration. He is, I don't know, he's a wide receiver. I think for us, he just, I don't know. I think we tried to go after him, but he wanted to go to Auburn. I think that's what the biggest thing is. Great route runner, great release, great catching. Maybe we play Auburn when he gets some playing time. He's going to be an 82 overall as a true freshman. Wow. Here's another wide receiver. This is Rashid White from Texas. 6 foot, 185, 5-star prospect, Michigan, SC, and Bama. Then you got Michael Smith, another athlete, 6'4", 225 from Florida. Ole Miss, Georgia Tech, and Air Force are on his list. A lot of athletes here at the top. Joe Phillips, 6 foot, 197 from Pennsylvania. Vandy, Toledo, and Penn State are on his list. Scott Schroeder, 5'11", 203-pound athlete from Ohio. Michigan, Pitt, and Washington are his top 3 teams. He ran a 4.38 40. You've got Ben Williams from Mississippi, 6'2", 192, a 5-star prospect, but he's not a true 5-star. We scouted this guy. He was on our board for a little bit. Solid speed. But my main concern was his catching and his release. They're really not that good. A solid route runner. But again, I think the guys that we have on our board, the 2 guys we have on our board, and then the guys that will be coming off their red shirt and the guys that are already in the system, Williams would get lost in the mix. Here's another wide out. This wide receiver class is very good. Nate Mitchell from VA. He's 6'1", 199. Clemson, SC, and Notre Dame are on his short list. He ran a 4.34 40. Here's another back here in John Coles from Oregon, 5'11", 196. You got Georgia, LSU, and Georgia Tech. The number 1 middle linebacker is Zach Cox from Arizona, 6 foot, 234. Of course, he's got Arizona, Colorado State, and Stanford as his top 3 teams. You've got here's a first corner on the board from Vegas. You got Brandon Rogers, 6'1", 192. SC, Stanford, and UCLA are on his short list, 4.3 40. You've got another athlete in Tyler Morgan, 5-star prospect from Ohio, 6'1", 203. Kentucky, Missouri, and Toledo are his top 3 teams. Here's a running back in Terrence Hall, 6'1", 198 from Montana. You got SC, Nebraska, and Michigan on his list. 18% committed, ran a 4.5 40. More of a power back than anything. I think we're okay at running back. we've got four really good running backs going into next season. Here's another wideout, Derek Hill from California, 6'3", 214 from St. Bonaventure, SC, UCLA, and Oregon. Here's Calvin Smith, an athlete, 6 foot 215, 5-star prospect from Ohio, Central Michigan, the Zips, and Notre Dame, his top 3 teams. This man ran a 4.3 640. We're still in 5-star prospect territory. This is Tommy Williams, 6'1", 207 from Oregon. He's an athlete, Washington, the Beavers, Oregon State, and Bama, 4.2 640. Wow. Here's our first 5-star offensive lineman, Sean Williams from Michigan, 6'7", 280, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Tennessee on his short list. And this kid ran a 4.8 40 at offensive lineman, 280. For me, I think we would have to put some weight on him before he could come in and play. At number 22, we've got Daniel Brown, a wide receiver, 5-star prospect, 6 foot 196 from Florida, Michigan, Bama, and LSU on his list, 4.4 40. Here's our first 5-star tight end, Chris Strong from Texas, 6'3", 237 from Plainview, Mizzou, Ole Miss, and Kentucky. His top 3 teams, 4.5 640. At middle linebacker, we've got Eric Smith, the number 2 middle linebacker from South Carolina, 6'3", 229. Clemson is all over him. So is South Carolina. And then there's North Carolina. We scouted him. He is a very good player, man. Bit on the slow side, but great hit power. Can get off of blocks. The play rate is there, but the speed was a concern. The agility was a concern. And to round out your top 25 from Chicago, this is Derek Morris, 6'1", 190, Notre Dame, Iowa State, and Northern Illinois on his top 3. Guys, this recruiting class is very deep this year. I mean, look at this, man. The first 30 are all 5-star prospects. That's crazy, man. And we're going after some of these top players. And as you can see, as I was scrolling through, there's a lot of guys that are interested in coming to A&M. But right now, it's all about fit. Where would you fit in with the team? And how can you come in and make an immediate impact? This Isaiah Kent kid, he's going to be something special. 4.3 240. And look at his combine. Look at his spark score, man. Sheesh. We're going to have to play wherever he goes. We're going to have to play those guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed that recruiting special, man. Let me know down in the comments who was your favorite prospect on the board. Again, I'm going to keep you guys up to date every podcast about the recruiting board, who we've added, who we've taken off, who is committed. So make sure you guys keep an eye out for that. Our next game is up against Texas Tech. They're 0-3 on the season. And as you can see, we are still the number 1 team in the country. Looking to keep the ball rolling, man, and get ready for a tough stretch ahead, man. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you smash that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you're brand new. Don't forget to ring that bell. Join the Noti Squad. Make sure you guys hit those links down in my description. Follow your boy on Facebook, Twitter, and IG. And come through and join the Discord fam for exclusive content. And we'll talk from the den as we welcome the Red Raiders to town. Have a great day, guys. 2 fingers in the air. Peace. Big thank you to all the members of the channel and the Patreons. If you would like to become a member or a Patreon, hit the links down below in my description.